Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Bob Rangillian, and I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County. We have come together from different places. We're at different stages in our journey through life. Our paths are varied, and we look at life in different ways. One thing we have in common: at one point or another, and to some degree or other, our lives have touched the life of Marcia Lee Clark. And so we've turned aside from our accustomed ways and gathered here to give expression to the thoughts and the feelings that arise in us at this time of loss and completion.
I'm Jean Rowe, hired Unitarian minister, but a good friend of Marcia's. There's a group of us that are in a women's wisdom circle, and Marcia was a wonderful part of that too. And the other members are here today, and as we remember her. This service of celebration and commemoration for the life and death of Marcia Clark is dedicated to her best qualities. She was a woman of kindness, thoughtfulness, creativity, service to others, and love. Above all, a person of love. She was a person of integrity, purpose, and steadfastness. She was a nature lover, a hiker, a gifted seamstress, a masseuse, and a gift to the children she worked with. I'm going to light a candle in her honor and her memory. May it be a symbol of her life and spirit among us during this hour. D.H. Lawrence wrote, "When fulfilled people die, the essential oil of their experience enters the veins of living space and adds a glisten to the atom, to the body of immortal chaos. For space is alive, and it stirs like a swan whose feathers glisten silky with the oil of distilled experience." Last summer, Marcia left us in her bodily form, but her spirit and her legacy are with us still. Hers was a fulfilled life, not because she had finished everything she wanted to do, but because she lived so deeply, fully, honestly, and carefully. Now the essential oil of her experience has entered the veins of living space, the mystery. She is an immutable part of the cosmos and also still of our lives. Or, as the ancient churchman St. John Chrysostom put it, she whom we love and lose is no longer where she was before. She is now wherever we are. I like to think that when we come together in a memorial service, one of the things that we are doing is incorporating Marcia. We are bringing her into our bodies. As we speak of her, we are taking her life into ours, daring to name her place in the universe, in our collective history, in our hearts. She is powerfully with us, in and among us. She has changed our history and the history of the wider world. Adelaide Stevenson wrote a eulogy for another wonderful woman, Eleanor Roosevelt. What he said of her, we can say of Marcia: we are lonelier. Someone has gone from one's own life who was like a certainty of refuge, and someone has gone from the world who was like a certainty of honor. Marcia was a source of refuge, honor, love, and inspiration for her family, for her sister Sandra, her brother Steve, her sister-in-law Carol, her nieces Karen Kaufman. I think I missed a brother. Your father, Neil Patterson. I was reading off the obituary. Kim Patton, Jacqueline Patterson, her nieces, Karen Kaufman, Kim Patton, and Jacqueline Patterson, her nephews, Randy and Stephen Patterson, and great-nephews, Evan and Ethan Patterson, and Reagan Kaufman. Let us give thanks for the gift that was Marcia's life, with laughter, tears, and exuberance. Let us give tribute and honor. But first, let us sing together. And I chose this hymn because it sounded like something Marcia would have chosen. She was such a nature lover. So it'll be on the screen, and you do not need to stand. Source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise. Thank you, John. Well, not only was Marcia an artist, she was also a great lover of nature, as you know. She was part of a hiking group here in this congregation that went out into the mountain trails every Friday. She was the only one in our group that wore leather hiking boots. The rest of us had canvas or other kind, but I remember with her narrow feet, these beautiful leather boots. She also loved poetry and music. I'm going to share a few poems. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Our true home is in the present moment. To live in the present moment is a miracle. The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth in the present moment, to appreciate the peace and beauty that are available now. Peace is all around us, in the world, and in nature, and within us, in our bodies and spirits. Once we learn to touch this peace, we will be healed and transformed. It is not a matter of faith, it is a matter of practice." Well, she really was quite a woman. She was a child life specialist for many, many years in Canton, Ohio. Then she moved to Florida, got a diploma from Sarasota School of Massage Therapy, and then moved to Cashers and Highlands, where she did practice massage for quite a while before moving to Brevard. And I don't know what made her move to Brevard, but maybe we'll find that out today. She studied clothing construction in college, and she was a gifted seamstress, and she would design costumes for the Conisty Players. And she also did watercolor and acrylic paintings. And then in her later years, she did this most amazing art form. It was taking wallpaper that was in wallpaper books and cutting little tiny shapes and making mosaics from this wallpaper. They were beautiful. She was a volunteer with Head Start in Highlands, Smart Start in Brevard, and she was a member of this congregation, and she was a dear, dear friend. A few more poems. Cass Adams wrote, I quietly gaze into the depths of a forest and see nothing save beauty and peace. Birdsong fills my ears. A gentle breeze brushes against my cheek. Seeing from inside the seeing, I drink the dark riches of the woods. And my last poem is from the Unitarian poet Walt Whitman from Leaves of Grass. Darest thou now, O soul, walk out with me toward the unknown region where neither ground is for the feet nor any path to follow? No map there, nor guide, nor voice sounding, nor touch of human hand, nor face with blooming flesh, nor lips, nor eyes are in that land. I know it not, O soul, nor dost thou. All is a blank before us. All waits undreamed of in that region, that inaccessible land. Till when the tides loosen, all but the ties eternal, time and space, not darkness, gravitation, sense, nor any bounds bounding us. Then we burst forth, we float in time and space, O soul, prepared for them, equal, equipped at last, O joy, O fruit of all, them to fulfill, O soul. She is somewhere. After the musical interlude, we will hear first from Steve Patterson, Marcia's brother, and that will be on the screen. I have a screen too, that's why I'm pointing that way, not this way.
My name is Steve Patterson. I am Marcia's youngest brother. I cannot be here today due to a broken foot. I've been blessed in my life to have the special and everlasting love of my two sisters. Now, one of my two sisters, Marcia, has passed on. It is now my time to express my love and deep appreciation for what Marcia has done in my life, literally from the day I was born. Marcia is exactly 10 years older than me. Early pictures in the family album show her reading to me. Another picture has the two of us in our front yard in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Marcia on her knees next to the 3 or 4-year-old me. It was truly a picture of a sister's love for a little brother. In 1950, our family was moving from Grand Forks, North Dakota to Ohio. Ed, our oldest brother, was headed to Ohio State. Marcia pointed to an airplane in the sky and told me, "That's how Ed is going to Ohio." Marcia had a genius for explaining things to a 5-year-old. Early on, Marcia had many talents. One, she could make clothes. I remember the black Singer sewing machine. When Marcia started school at Bowling Green, she was majoring in clothing and design. And of course, she made clothes for her baby brother. In 2nd grade, our class went over to the high school to watch the high school drama class put on a play. Marcia was in that play. Marcia had a love for theater throughout her entire life. Every time I visited her, she treated me to a play. One time, Marcia and I were visiting Sandy in Florida. We went to the Sarasota Playhouse to watch the play Will Abner. That particular playhouse was built in 1924, the oldest existing playhouse in the United States. About 15 years ago, I got to see Marcia in another play. The Homeowners Association at Concy Falls, where she lived, was putting on a play. I saw the play and Marcia did a terrific job. This time, I learned the secret of Marcia's success. Sandy and I were staying at Marcia's. When we went to bed and Marcia had her bedroom door closed, I could hear her practicing her lines. That's Marcia. She works hard at everything she does and strives for perfection. She has a master's degree in child psychology. Despite all these accomplishments, Marcia's first true love has always been her family. I experienced it as the youngest brother. I know she loved her nieces and nephews, 2 of them who were my children. And Marcia and Sandy have an incredibly close relationship. They go to plays together, and they're into health food together. One time I went into a health food store with them. I felt like I was in a foreign country. The only thing I recognized was cornflakes. So RFK, cornflakes are okay. I remember Marcia's wedding, November 1956. Marcia and all my brothers and sisters were leaving. I remember the lonely feeling. Now, 70 years later, that lonely feeling is back. My brothers and sisters are leaving again. First Ed, then Neil, now Marcia. Only Sandy and I remain. Eventually, we will all be reunited in heaven. And we are going to put on one great play, directed and produced by Marcia. I will see you again, Marcia.
Hello, my name is Karen Kaufman, and I'm the eldest niece of Marcia. And I would like to share a few thoughts from both me and then my husband, who could not be here today. I live in Warsaw, Indiana, and I live with my husband, Kent, and our son, Reagan, when he's not at Purdue University studying. I grew up in the Canton, Ohio area and had the chance to know my Aunt Marcia as I was growing up. But my parents lived close to her in North Carolina for the last 3 decades of her life, so I'm very thankful that my husband, son, and I were able to see her when we visited to have an active relationship with her. I always thought my aunt was extremely talented. One of my first memories of her talents was seeing how she repaired my brother Randy's teddy bear when he was 3. He got a new muzzle and paws, and I was so impressed by her sewing skills, even though I was so young. She knitted Randy a little red sweater, too, and that's on display on a table with pictures that you'll see later. I saw paintings hanging in Aunt Marcia's home that she had made, including one of her big gray cat, Seth, whom I adored and loved holding. She made me some clothing items for birthdays, and I remember one outfit in particular that was a unique style for the time. It was a periwinkle blue collared tunic that tied at the sides, and she had embroidered an intricate white design down the front. She made a white skirt to go with it, too. It was beautiful and one of a kind. I remember knowing that she had made many of the outfits she wore when she visited us, including a purse made out of jeans. I didn't find out until a few years ago that her college major had been clothing construction. But that wasn't completely surprising to me, since Aunt Marcia, she and Aunt Sandy gave me a junior sewing machine when I was in 4th grade. Thankfully, I did learn how to sew, and we liked talking about some of the projects I had made, like curtains and reupholstered chairs and sofa. As the years passed, Marcia continued to expand her pursuit of lifelong learning, and she took watercolor classes and made several paintings of western North Carolina landscapes, both the panoramic mountains and more intimate nature scenes. Then she learned how to draw and paint people and use wallpaper for textures and portraits. Her great nephews became subjects from photos she had received, and we were gifted the beautiful framed portraits. The creative genes ran in the family amongst her siblings, and each one of them excelled in the talents they honed. I am blessed to have learned alongside my father some construction skills, and he and Marcia both contributed to each other's lives using their generous talents. A few decades ago, my family was at Aunt Sandy's house on Sarasota Bay when my parents were talking about leaving Florida after living there for 10 years. Aunt Marcia had just moved to Conisty Falls in Brevard, and that day we watched a video about it that showed a clubhouse, many activities for residents, and pristine lakes amongst the homes and condominiums. After seeing that video, I begged my parents to move near Aunt Marcia and not to go to northern Georgia, where they were considering, which was 2 hours from the nearest airport. I am so thankful they chose to move to Hendersonville, since it opened up the greatest opportunity to see Aunt Marcia and foster a meaningful relationship with her. She made intentional time with her great nephews and thoroughly enjoyed her time getting to know them and coming up with activities to do with them. My husband and I deeply appreciated the time with her, and our son and nephews will carry memories of her throughout their lives. Aunt Marcia loved living at Conisty Falls, and we thought it felt like she lived in a treehouse. She generously shared the scenic grounds of the pool and lake for swimming and birthday party picnics. Our son Reagan held his first fishing rod there for a children's fishing contest, and he caught enough fish, a total of 1, to be the winner in his 4-year-old age group. It was so cute to make that memory with her. She loved the beauty of North Carolina, and we took many day trips and mountain trail hikes with her, which was always such a good time for conversations. She showed an interest in people and was great at asking about what they were involved in. She was a good listener and conversationalist, and that helped us get to know her, too. We had a common interest in eating healthy food and going to Food Matters Market in Brevard, and I still love seeing her handwriting on the recipe card she gave me since it reminds me of so many picnics we had together. My Aunt Sandy, mom, dad, brother, and nephews were there for her as she got older and needed to move, get settled, or have a representative to advocate for her health needs. They celebrated birthdays and holidays with her, and they gave her the family ties that contribute to a meaningful life. All of our lives were enriched by family living close to her in beautiful Western North Carolina, and we will cherish the memories, many pictures, and time we had with her. And from my husband, he says he's sorry that he's unable to be with us today as we remember and celebrate Marcia Clark's role in our lives. In a world where the volume of a speaker has seemingly become more significant than the value in their expression, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Aunt Marcia's quiet voice. Because Aunt Marcia was sensitive and not boisterous, and because she spoke softly, one needed to lean in and listen carefully to what was on her mind. And in doing that, I was privileged through the years I knew Aunt Marcia to realize how much was on her mind. She was a terrific conversationalist because she was an attentive listener and was interested in you and your thoughts. And isn't that the foundation of friendship? Listening and sharing and caring. Aunt Marcia was extremely well read and possessed many talents, but rather than tell you what books she had read or what her accomplishments were, she asked you what you were up to or how you were doing, or if you had recently read something interesting. And in those conversations, the kind that require quality time because real listening requires time, I got to know a compassionate and thoughtful woman who cared about her family. Like her brother Neil, my father-in-law, Marcia worked with her hands, combing her creativity with concentration and patience. And like Neil, Aunt Marcia was a generous person. Throughout our home are multiple paintings she gave us, including beautiful nature scenes and portraits of Reagan when he was a boy. I think of one of the blessings that comes from working with your hands, as Neil and Marcia did, is that your efforts have a physical presence that is both immediate and long-standing. And so we get to cherish the fruits of their labor far after the work is done. I also think that those creative, solitary endeavors allow one to think and ponder. And in those still, quiet moments, one might save their voice for the time when someone leans in and asks, "How are you doing?" I'm thankful for the pleasure of the memories I have of talking with Aunt Marcia and listening to what was on her mind.
Good afternoon. Um, I'm Evan Patterson. I am her great nephew, firstborn out of Ethan and Reagan. Um, and I'm just grateful to be here. I have a few fond memories of Aunt Marcia. One, she, we went hiking together, and that was great. We went to the pool, the clubhouse. She basically let me come over and spend the night, and we did artwork together. And those handful of memories, I will always cherish and keep. And I was grateful for the time I had with her. And yeah, so.
Good afternoon. I'm Ethan Patterson, Evan's brother, and I'm the other great nephew. And like my brother shared, I have a few very fond memories with her as well. One of which were sleepovers with Aunt Marcia. We would just enjoy a nice meal together, watch television and just have great conversation. And like my aunt was saying, you had to listen to her thoughts, and you had to get to know her for who she was. She was a very sweet person, and I'll forever miss her. And so, thank you very much.
Virginia Rush would like to say a few words. Virginia is a good friend.
Marcia Clark was my best friend. We would get together once a week and do energy work on each other. She was a gifted therapist, and I had had a little experience of my own, so we always felt better after our sessions. And I was probably too old to be riding a bike, but I did ride a bike and fell many times. And after falling, I would maybe just have a little skin knee, no big deal, but I didn't feel a lot of energy. And Marcia would fix me. My body would have been knocked out of alignment, and she would line me all up again, and I felt like $1,000,000 when we were done. The other story I wanted to share with you is after Marcia went to, what's the name of that place? The Landings. We did what young girls do at pajama parties. We did each other's nails because it was hard for her to carry on a conversation. So we found other ways. And she gave me manicures. She didn't want to just be the receiver. She was a giver as well. And we did each other's hair. And she once told me that her one wish, that if she could have one thing before she died, would be to fall in love again. It was very sweet. And I miss her. She's an amazing woman.
Is there anybody else who feels moved to say something? There's a mic right there. Or I can bring it to you.
Jean asked me if I wanted to speak, and I said, no, you just speak for all of us. But I may be the only person who has the piece to the puzzle of how Marcia got from Cashers to here. Because when she was in Cashers, she had a client named Lane Was. And they became very good friends. And Lane just passed about 1 week ago. But Lane was moving to Conisty Falls. And Marcia loved Lane so much, she decided to move over here too. And she bought a condo up there on the hill overlooking the lake. It was quite beautiful. Marcia, about the time Marcia moved to town, I moved to town. That was about 24 years ago. And so Lane decides she needs a women's group here. Everywhere we had ever been, we had women's groups. So we thought we ought to have a women's group. So we started a women's wisdom circle, and there were 7 of us in the women's wisdom circle, and now 2 have died, Marcia and Lane. One time I was going to go to a New Year's Eve party after Marcia moved over here, and I bought a dress at there was a consignment shop. It was really a beautiful dress, but it was about 4 inches too long for me. And I told Marcia, I can't hem this dress. I used to could hem a dress, but I can't do it anymore. It's too sophisticated. And I took that dress down there, and she hemmed that dress that day perfectly. And Sandy, I met you one time when I came to Florida with Marcia. It's good to see you again. My name's Carol. And the 2 nephews, boy, I'm really glad to meet two of you because Marcia was always making something to give to her nephews. She would make picture books to give to her nephews, and she would make special food items to give to her nephews. So the women's group, the Women's Wisdom Circle, feels like we know y'all, whether we do or not. I needed to fill in the piece of the puzzle.
Thank you, Carol. I chose this hymn, it's called Just As Long As I Have Breath, because it sounded just like Marcia. You probably aren't too familiar with it because it's a UU hymn, but the tune is simple. And let's stand this time just to get your bodies moving, and it will be on the screen. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my talk, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. Please be seated. Yeah, that sounds like Marcia, doesn't it? Tell them I said yes to life. For all that has been written and thought and believed about the meaning of life and death, yet they are still shrouded in mystery. We do not know exactly why Marcia was born when she was born, nor why she died when she died, nor just where exactly her spirit has gone. But in the company of religious men and women everywhere, I believe that she is now in a different plane of existence, where there is no sorrow nor pain, where her mind operates freely and her spirit is reunited with all she knew and loved before. I think that we can be as certain as we finite human beings can be, or as Carol says, when we are living in our disposable earth suits. I think that we can be as certain as we finite human beings can be. Marcia's spirit is at peace, at home in the wider spheres of the universe, in the hands and keeping of God. Her journey on earth is over. Her new life has begun. You probably can imagine what she might be saying as she finds Jesus and others who have gone to prepare a place for her. You can probably imagine what she must be saying as she arrived in the place of warmth and love forever. So now is our time for goodbyes to Marcia as we knew her. We say goodbye. We know she's outgrown her earth suit, her body. She's moved on. We say goodbye to her as we knew and loved her. Yet too, in this final act, we are free to say hello to a new kind of relationship with her. She is in the hands of life eternal. We commend and give her into God's keeping. The poet Mary Oliver reminds us that we are always saying goodbye because it is part of life. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes, to let it go. And from Psalm 121, behold, God is your keeper. God is as close to you as shade upon your right hand, keeping the sun from burning you by day, nor the moon by night. God shall preserve you from all evil and shall preserve your soul. The eternal God will preserve your going out and your coming in from this day forth and even forever. Finally, because she did want a lot of poems, this poem, and it's on the back of your order of service, by the, again, Unitarian poet May Sarton, and I just love this one. Now, voyager, lay here your dazzled head. Come back to earth from air, be nourished, not with that light on light, but with this bread. Hold here close to earth, be cherished, mortal heart. Hold your way deep as roots push rocks apart to bring the spurt of green up from the dark. Where music thundered, let the mind be still. Where the will triumphed, let there be no will. What light revealed, now let the dark fulfill. Here close to earth, the deeper pulse is stirred. Here where no wings rush and no sudden bird, but only heartbeat upon beat is heard. Here let the fiery burden be all spilled, the passionate voice at last be calmed and stilled, and the long yearning of the blood fulfilled. Now, voyager, come home to rest, here on the long-lost country of earth's breast. Lay down the fiery vision and be blessed. Be blessed. And so we have to say, farewell, Marcia, friend, sister, aunt, giver of healing and love. We the living salute you. Hallelujah. Amen. Now we shall extinguish this candle. The warmth will be gone. The light will cease to shine. Our candle becomes cold and lifeless. But what about the light from it? That warmth and color that has shone on our faces? What of the brightness that it has given to our lives, the help it has given us to see the way? That light, like Marcia's light, shines still, though it is no longer a part of this candle. That light is now an immutable part of the cosmos. And so it is of the generosity of spirit of her in whose memory this candle has burned. That light will never die and lives in all of us. Amen.
This benediction, Spirit of love and life, as we leave this space, may we be lifted by the love and the stories shared in celebrating Martha's life together. May we be emboldened to live the best of who she was in the ways we go about our days ahead. Blessings on all of us. Amen. Blessed be.